Hey, everybody. Welcome to Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can truly start your day off the AFA way. And in case you have forgotten what that is,
My
Mark,
God, did you forget over the weekend? You're absolutely fucking amazing. Every single one of you, without doubt.
just
So,
who you
own
are.
that today on Motivation Monday.
Motivation Monday.
Yes. Well, here it is.
First,
February 1st, Sherry.
I know.
January's gone. It's in the books. We never get that back again. Oh,
I know, right? It's gone. You never get the day back. Like
you
once the
never
day's
do.
over, it's done. That's it.
So here we are. We're here on February 1st. And it's exciting. It's a new month. It's a
It's a new
new
month,
opportunity, a new day.
new day, new month, new minute, new hour.
Mhm.
So
All
what can we
right.
do today to live our best lives? We
That's
can start.
right. That's why we're here. We're living our best lives. So today in the Daily Love, I pulled from, and I like to do this on Mondays. Good morning, Denise. I like to do this on Mondays. I pulled from a Landmark reading. So it's from Landmark Insights, Book 3, Inventing New Futures. And
Hmm.
so today's is about walking the well-worn path. So it's called a continual choosing. And it's really about how we always have this pull to do what we do repeatedly, right? We're creatures of habit, and we really truly are. If you study the neuroscience behind it, we are truly just creatures of habit. And so we always go towards the least resistance, right? And it's the well-worn path of what we do over and over again, regardless if it's really good for us or not.
Right.
If it feels like it's been done before, we're just going to go with it, right? So it talks about, and here's the quote that I really love, this line right here. It takes practice, courage, and real work to give up old, unproductive ways of being. That's
Hmm.
really what we do day to day. We are just ways of being. Like if I say I'm sad, I'm not really that thing sad. I'm just being sad at that particular moment. So it's a way of being.
A way of being, the
Yeah.
emotions around
Hmm.
people, places, things, thought forms, energies, and entities.
Yeah.
Right? You think about it.
Uh-huh.
Yes. How do we perceive that? Yes. And
Right.
how do we go forward in our day without carrying, right? Carrying some of that with us.
How do we step outside of that well-worn path and open up to all new possibility, right? Because this only has one possibility, and that is what we know is going to be the result of that daily walk down that same old pathway, even if it's not good, right? Even if the
So how do we
result is
do it?
the best
Yeah.
result.
So how do we do it differently?
Practice. It's like anything
Practice.
else.
It is.
My
It's
wife just started playing the cello. She's going to get good if she practices, right? No practice, no good. Same thing. I mean, not no good. I mean, she's
I
delightful. I mean, I just love the yeah. So
know.
anyway, it
Yeah.
takes practice of stepping outside of that normal way of being. So
Right.
you have to be courageous. You have to step outside of things like being right. Human
Oh
beings
gosh.
love to be right. We'll fight our fight to be right every time. I'm right.
Well,
We
here it is.
all do it.
Can I
Yeah.
tell you, if it is, here's the thing about rightness and wrongness and truth
Yeah.
and knowing, the
Mhm.
truth need not be argued.
Mhm.
So here
Mhm.
it is. If you're arguing with someone, who are you trying to really convince? Them or yourself?
Right.
It's interesting.
Mhm.
So interesting.
Mhm. Yeah.
So the
So
word of the day, Mark.
my word of the day today is practice.
There you go. Oh God,
So
and that's perfect. Can you tell
yeah.
you how perfect that is? Because that leads into the health tool of the day, which is breath
Woo!
work. We are going to be practicing breath work today,
And
right?
what was that quote that you gave me a little earlier, Sherry? It was so perfect.
The quote, it is so perfect, and it has to do with breath work and how we can
Mhm.
change our perception. The ultimate freedom is to change your consciousness with a simple breath. We have the capability of changing our consciousness with breath work, and it is so powerful. We
Mhm.
started doing this last week.
Yeah.
Jacques Theron is leading the breathwork class.
He is the man.
Yep, we have 4 more classes on Mondays and Thursdays, and it truly it is doing something different. I'm going to tell you, I've done deep breathing, but this is really, really different than just
Did you notice between the first and the second sessions, the 2 different practices had totally different results?
Totally different results.
Oh my gosh. So 44 breaths, nice, energizing, kind of just settles you in. And then this breath work that we did on the second session, that touches on some deep, deep emotion. That touches on some deep stuff, and it causes a physical manifestation, right? Oh my God.
The visceral reaction.
Yes.
My hands all tense, my jaw's all weird. Like I was so uncomfortable in my skin. It was as if the energy that was stuck was being out through the breath.
And a lot of the participants have shared the same thing. It's like their hands got tight, their faces were clenched, they felt like pain and uncomfortable, and they had to work through it. And Jacques really was good at kind of explaining to us that we have to sit with it and work through it, just breathe through it. And when you get on the other side of that, well, it's
transformational. It's like it digs deep at things that you never thought were there. Right. And people are like, well, why would you want to ever bring that up? Well, guess what? To get rid of it. Can you imagine breathing it out?
Yes. Yes. Listen, all that stuff has an effect on how you live. Your way of being is affected by all that stuff that's in there. So being able to breathe through it, to release it, right, with that exhalation, it is truly transformational. And I'm so happy. Carrie Lee, I don't want the breathwork classes to end either. I'd do a weekly call with Jacques for the rest of my life. I'd be happy to do that.
And he's just so kind and knowledgeable.
Oh,
the spiritual principles and how to tie breath work and spirituality into mental, emotional, and physical health. Right. That's what I find so fascinating. So
awesome.
Good work.
So here we go. Motivational Monday, Sherry.
Motivational Monday. So what motivates us as cannabis nurses? Why are we so excited? Why are we so passionate? Why are we getting up? Why am I getting up at the butt crack?
This is not your gig. Like, I know you're not a morning person, and yet you shine every morning at 8 a.m.
Well, I try, but it's just because of what we've learned. And now what is coming forth with cannabis nursing.
Yes.
So we're covering this every Monday about why cannabis nursing is so important and why it will become an in-demand skill as we continue to evolve in the cannabis space. So in July of 2018, when I came out of the closet, the National Council State Boards of Nursing put together in the nursing guidelines, the Journal of Nursing Regulations for medical cannabis. It identified 6 essential areas of knowledge about cannabis for all nurses, nursing students, and advanced practice nurses. So why are we covering this? We're covering this year because it's important for nurses to know, and we're hoping that it will soon be included in all the nursing board exams. And we need more nurses. This is what we're doing is we want to get the word out. We need more nurses, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But anyway, so the 6 essential areas, I'm going to let you review those, and then we'll on because this is really important.
So here we go. Yeah. So the National Council of State Boards of Nursing, again, just to review so you understand, these are the folks that make the national exam that every nurse has to take in order to be licensed in their particular state. So these are the folks who put that examination together. And let me tell you, it's not a lightweight exam. Like,
no, it's not.
Some people take it multiple times. It's like taking your boards if you're a lawyer, or taking your boards if you're a doctor. So it's just an intense examination. So for them to come out and say the following, which is the first item, is the nurse shall have a working knowledge of the current state of legalization of medical and recreational cannabis use. And we will be reviewing each state, and we need to remember that the info is going to be constantly changing as we evolve with this plant. That's one of the things we really need to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the second one, Sharon?
The second one is the nurse shall have a working knowledge of the jurisdiction medical program. So what does each state's medical program entail? Because federal And state law is completely different when it comes to cannabis.
It
And
is.
every single state is different. So it's our obligation as nurses in the particular state is to know what the medical program is, if there is a medical program.
Mhm, mhm. Exactly, and from state to state, every one of them is different, you're right. So, the next one, the nurse shall have an understanding of the endocannabinoid system, cannabinoid receptors, cannabinoids, and the interactions between them, and that is my jam, like, I love the science behind it, I just do.
And it just
Oh,
keeps getting more and more fascinating. I mean, it's
mhm.
especially with these new tools that are out, the new information, the new databases. We could talk about in a minute. Cannabis is a really cool tool that just came out. It's really, really fascinating how we are
Mhm.
able to even take the understanding of the endocannabinoid system and just take it a little bit further because more and more information keeps coming out every
Oh,
day.
amazing,
So the
amazing.
next work is, and this
Mhm.
kind of ties into the last one, is the nurse shall have an understanding of cannabis pharmacology and the research associated with the medical use of cannabis.
My head is so full of this stuff, Sherry. I'm in my last semester of that master's in medical cannabis science, like, and this is advanced cannabis therapeutics this semester. My brain is just full of this stuff. Like, I'm just doing nothing but reading studies and critiquing the studies. Like,
Which is so great. Oh my
I
God.
love it. I
Yeah,
love it. Oh, I get
really, really
excited
good.
about
And that's the part that's so cool too, is
it.
that
Yeah.
we're able to, as nurses, and what we've learned is to take that and apply it to real life patient situations. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of what we're doing here at the Green Nurses.
Absolutely. The next one is the nurse shall be able to identify the safety considerations for patient use of cannabis. There are safety considerations, folks. It's not completely benign. There are things you need to be aware of, and that's why the nursing board came out and said this is what nurses need to know because it really is important.
Yes, when patients are starting cannabis, we look at multiple different things, not
Mhm.
only medical diagnoses, symptoms, but pharmaceuticals, other supplements. What are
Yeah.
they doing in their lifestyle? What are people doing and not doing in their life? Because
Mhm.
all of these things affect how cannabis works in our body. And truly,
Completely.
as nurses, because we're so passionate about it, we want people to have a good experience. The last thing you want a person to do is to try cannabis and have a bad experience. Period. End of
Right.
story. Statement of fact. That's why we're so passionate. We want people
Right.
to understand this and to use this in a way that is appropriate for them.
Right. So so really, Sherry, you just hit it on the head. There are so many people who have a negative experience on their first go around that they completely say this is not for me and they put it off to the side, not knowing that if they had been guided and been educated on how to really utilize it, oh my gosh, completely different experience. And as we know, which is why we're both so passionate about it, it is so positive in so many ways in the human body that it's just it you really should give it a chance.
Yes, and that's the part that's great too, is cannabis nurses, a lot of
Mhm,
us have a lot of experiential learning, meaning that we've done the research for you. We
mhm,
know, we like even from personal experiences of being cannabis patients, we have a really good idea of figuring out what works, what doesn't work, how much to take, how much not to take, how to start, how to
mhm.
take breaks, how to combine and pair,
Yeah,
nutrients, all of these things. It's really, really
all of those
we
things.
safety is of our number one priority because we truly feel that people would
Mhm.
benefit from this plant. So the last
Right.
one is my favorite one, and it's the nurse shall approach the patient without judgment regarding a patient's choice of treatment or preferences in managing pain and other distressing symptoms. There is no room for judgment in any type of healthcare whatsoever.
So hard not to step into it because being human beings, what do we do automatically without even thinking about it?
We're
We
judging.
judge. We'll
We
walk in. How many times you walk into a party and you immediately judge everybody in the room? You're like, I know that kind. I know that kind. I know that kind. And then we look for evidence to support our judgment. Right.
exactly,
So stepping
exactly.
outside of that is like we talked about earlier in the daily love. It's
Yeah,
practice. It's
total
practice to step
practice.
out side of judgment and accept that the patient is the one we're empowering.
Yes.
That's our job. We're empowering the patient to make
And
it.
how we empower patients is through that connection.
Boom.
Truly, when patients come to us, they are scared, they are fearful, they're very vulnerable. So
Hmm.
after we work with them, we connect with their spirit. We truly feel that spirituality is the root of cannabis care.
We do, Sherry.
All
All
right.
right.
So I just
So,
read a recent article, and it's a really cool article, is why cannabis nursing will become an in-demand skill,
hmm
right? So in the past 10 years, it's cannabis, as we know, has become more accepted. 68% of Americans fully support legalization. 68%. And that's from a November 2020 Gallup poll. Really cool. 38
hmm
states have medical cannabis programs. 15 states now allow adult use. There is a paradigm around cannabis that is evolving. And it is essential for medical professionals and nurses to have this knowledge. And we're gonna beat this into your heads.
we are. Listen, and understand, we're still so early on in the development of cannabis as a medicine, cannabis in the public, as a recreational item. It's early. Like there are going to be changes happening over the course of the next 5 years, 10 years. Absolutely. Especially as we find out more about how it's really working in the body.
Yes.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of upcoming legislation changes.
Yeah.
2020 MORE Act, right? The Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, which
Hmm.
the House passed. It's
Yep.
providing a framework for social equity. It's
Hmm.
decriminalizing and descheduling cannabis from Schedule 1, which we hope and pray for. And basically, under this act, which I find so cool, states can create their cannabis laws without having to worry about federal interference.
Yeah.
The
Oh
other
yeah.
thing that's interesting is the act does not provide a framework for federal legalization, but it does represent a step in the right direction, which I find is really awesome.
Right. Right. It really is so cool. In November 2020, the Senate passed the Cannabidiol and Marijuana Research and Expansion Act, which streamlines the application process for research. Listen, that's been a huge impediment to really understanding what's going on in cannabis. Although there's some dynamite research that's been done outside of the United States. Listen, some really good, rigorous scientific studies for many, many years. But in the United States, there are a lot of roadblocks in the way, Sherry, right?
Oh, yeah.
It
Tons.
streamlines that application process, requires federal research and safety parameters from the FDA, and it allows physicians to discuss cannabis with their patients
You guys hear
without
that?
fear of recrimination.
Yes. Yes. So it allows physicians to discuss cannabis with their patients. I'm just reinforcing that. And
Yeah.
basically, if your physicians don't want to have a conversation, give us a
Mhm.
call. We'll talk to
Right.
them for sure.
Yeah. All
So
right.
there's always the big debate.
Mhm.
Who benefits from cannabis? Okay, big, giant debate. And I
Mhm.
honestly agree. It depends upon who you ask, right? It's perception,
Right.
consciousness.
Mhm.
So we cannot make any claims, as we all know.
Mhm.
But the part that I find fascinating is the National Council State Boards of Nursing does have guidelines with a list of qualifying conditions that is supported with clinical evidence. Now, there's also qualifying conditions without evidence, but they share symptoms with other evidence-based qualifying conditions. So that's the part that's so cool is if these non-qualifying conditions share the similar experiences of patients that are benefiting from cannabis, it makes sense. That is where research should be directed,
Right.
right?
Right. It does.
And
Makes
people
perfect.
poo-poo, and people poo-poo anecdotal evidence. People are like, oh, that's anecdotal, but think about it.
It's still evidence.
It's still evidence, anecdotal evidence, and
Mhm.
patient experiences truly may be helpful in driving the future research, especially if patients are having the same results over and over again.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. And that's what will drive research. If
yes,
enough people say, hey, this has worked for me for this particular condition, and there's a lot of it, a lot of people out there saying that, whether it's IBS or Crohn's or, anxiety or whatever it is, there are a lot of people in that same lane saying, yes, this works for me.
right,
That's where the research should go, right?
yes,
All
totally.
right.
And
And
so
regardless, go ahead, Sherry.
And so that's the other thing too. So regardless of the qualifying conditions, it's really, really important for nurses
Mhm.
and medical professionals is each state has its own list of qualifying conditions.
Mhm.
And we truly feel over time this should be standardized and not just be limited to disease processes. Think about it. When you think about the endocannabinoid system and we teach about the umbrella concept, the umbrella is the whole body, you can see the interconnectedness of our body. So basically just making it about a disease process really isn't, I think, needs to be expanded to more of symptoms.
Of course it does. Because what happens if you have this limiting, these are the qualifications for you to actually receive cannabis. Well, let's look at it. If it's a recreational state and it has a medical, if you have qualifying conditions that limit who's going to get that medicine, the people are going to go to the recreational and they're not going to get the guidance that they need in order to utilize it correctly.
Yes.
So that is a damn shame. So qualifying conditions, I really want to use cannabis to make my life happier and healthier. How's that for a qualifying condition?
Me too.
Increase my joy and happiness.
How about this? I just want to live my best life. And guess what? Cannabis is helping me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know what? We're moving right along here, folks.
We're getting there. So basically all of these debates, and regardless of who benefits from cannabis, what do we have as medical professionals and nurses? We have a moral, legal, ethical obligation to know it and to educate it based on, if you're a nurse, the National Council of State Boards of Nursing.
That's right.
So the other thing that I find really important too is when we speak and we educate it and people raise their hands, they start to bring up all of the myths that have started to be dispelled. So we really want to, over the next month, we're going to start dispelling some of the myths with the current research to substantiate. So really quickly, let's go through the name of these myths, or talk about the myths really quickly. We won't get into detail, but we will.
We're going through. Okay. Myth number 1, cannabis is highly addictive and can lead to harsher drugs, or the gateway theory. We won't even get into that now because I got a lot on that one. What's the next one, Sherry?
The next one is cannabis lowers intelligence. Well, yeah.
Let's see about that. All right.
That's
myth number 3. Cannabis legalization is linked to the rise in traffic fatalities.
No.
We'll go into that one. What's the next one, Sherry?
We covered this one before, but we're going to tap into a little bit more. And the myth 4 is CBD is medical and THC is recreational.
Yeah, wrong.
Myth.
We have a lot of evidence for that. All right.
So this has been really great. So we are going to continue to educate and empower you, not only patients, clients, not only the people here, but also providers and clinicians. So basically, if you or someone you love is suffering from chronic illness, chronic pain, if you're interested in learning how to incorporate cannabis into your daily wellness regimen, or if you're cannabis curious and you want to learn how to have a safe adult use experience, we are truly here to help you. I saw someone write, it's all medical. You know what? When it enters into your body, absolutely. But I look at consciousness too. So when we're talking about cannabis, there's a consciousness when you go to consume. So basically, when I'm consuming medically, I consume one way. If I want to have an adult experience, I definitely consume a different way. However, truly, when it enters into my body, it does all act as medicine.
It does. Eric, you're spot on, man. Absolutely.
Yes.
However you're getting it, it's medicine. It always has been. That's why people have used it. That's why it's the largest illicitly used drug in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's medicine and people want to feel better. All right. So listen, you said it earlier, Sherry. There is going to be a continuing huge demand for people who want to utilize cannabis as a medicine. We don't have enough providers to help educate and help empower those patients to really, those clients, those people to really utilize cannabis in an effective manner. We need you to join the Green Nurse community. We will help educate you on how to educate other people. And that way, everybody will have access to this amazing medicine, and the world will be a happier, better place.
Yes.
Seriously.
Health, happiness, cannabis.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, today is an AFA day. Absolutely. And I'm going to practice all day.
All day long. Inhale.
Yes.
Inhale.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
See you shortly for that. But you know
Have
what,
a
Sherry?
AFA day. And
Yeah.
what are we going to do, Mark? We are
What's it all about?
living your best life.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Have an AFA day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.